This is my second attempt at recording this video, so let's get this over with.
Booga booga.
After giving myself a little time to process Aronofsky's latest film, I've concluded I never want to watch another one of his movies again. Not to say that I was ever a big fan of his films. The sort of dark, depressing nature of the movies he makes, it's just not really my thing. Keep in mind that doesn't necessarily mean you should avoid this film. If you're an Aronofsky fan, you'll probably find things to appreciate, though I'd honestly worry about your mental well-being if you actually enjoy it. And no, I'm not being sarcastic. Oh, and if you enjoy brutally honest reviews like this, please consider subscribing. The story is set in the late 1990s and follows Hank Thompson, played by Austin Butler, a bartender in New York. After his friend Russ, played by Matt Smith, leaves the country for a family-related matter, Hank, being a good guy, agrees to look after Russ's pet cat. This simple favor pulls Hank into a chaotic underworld of criminal trouble. Before long, he's tangled up with brutal Russian mobsters, violent Hispanic enforcers, and even a pair of oddly genteel Jewish hitmen. I'd love to delve into more of the plot details, but I'm avoiding spoilers here. Suffice it to say, poor Hank's week goes from bad to worse in increasingly crazy ways. Oh, and Hank's loving paramedic girlfriend Yvonne, played by Zoë Kravitz, is along for the ride, trying to keep him alive through all of the mayhem. From start to finish, the acting in Caught Stealing is stellar. Austin Butler as Hank really surprised me, and I say that because I'm not really an Austin Butler guy. He's obviously extremely charming on the surface, but what impressed me was how effortlessly he can switch into this almost childlike vulnerability at the drop of a hat. But in the next moment, he can move into deep anguish. His turmoil is absolutely gut-wrenching to witness, and it gives the film a few fleeting moments of genuine heart amid all the chaos. The supporting cast is equally impressive. Zoë Kravitz brings a grounding presence to the story. She's the one bright spot in an otherwise bleak world. Whenever Kravitz is on the screen, she radiates warmth and sanity, which is much needed considering what everyone else is up to. Matt Smith is clearly having fun as a wide-eyed 90s punker. He's the closest thing to a comic relief, and the few times I did chuckle during this movie were thanks to him. And then there's Liev Schreiber and Vincent D'Onofrio, who show up as that pair of ultra-Orthodox Jewish hitmen I mentioned. These two are quiet and strangely warm in their demeanor. They're polite, soft-spoken guys, yet they give off a predatory, almost animalistic vibe that is seriously unsettling. Part of what makes them so memorable isn't even the performances, which are great if understated, but the sheer concept of their characters. It's such an unhinged idea. Two men who look like Orthodox rabbis calmly going around shooting people with silenced pistols. Simply put, Caught Stealing is a beautifully shot film. It doesn't matter whether we're talking about the tight, intense close-ups on Hank's tortured face, or the surprisingly large number of sweeping drone shots showcasing the confined nature of New York fire escapes. Every shot feels purposefully crafted. Longtime Aronofsky collaborator Matthew Labatique handled the cinematography, and it shows. There's also a grimy, dingy texture to every location that perfectly suits the story's tone. In typical Aronofsky form, nothing is clean or glossy. The bars, apartments, and alleyways all look convincingly worn down and lived in, which really helps immerse us in this seedy little corner of the city. And like I said before, the film is set in the late 90s, and the production design definitely has fun with that. The late 90s setting is signaled by all the little period details. Smash Mouth's Walking on the Sun playing on the jukebox, Jerry Springer's episodes flickering on the TV in the background, an answering machine on Hank's table, and characters begrudgingly lending out their flip phones while warning, "Don't use my minutes." In hindsight, these were nice touches. It's really in the writing where this movie falls flat. I'm not talking about individual pieces of dialogue or even the wider picture, although I couldn't quite understand why things went down the way they did. The issue was twofold. First, character psychology and logic. Multiple times, characters would do things that felt widely out of, well, character. At times, they would act in arbitrary ways, as if the script told them, now do this thing. So they did. Really, it just seemed like there was a lack of understanding of the characters on screen. Second, and most glaring, the tone. Charlie Huston, who wrote both the original novel and the screenplay, can't seem to decide whether he's crafting a hard-boiled crime drama or a quirky dark comedy. From promotional materials, I actually expected this to lean comedic. I mean, the official tagline for this movie is 2 Russians, 2 Jews, and a Puerto Rican walk into a bar, which had me thinking Aronofsky might be attempting his first outright comedy. That is not at all what I saw in this film. The movie we got is brutally violent, cynical, and often deadly serious, except for when it suddenly isn't. The raw horrors in Caught Stealing are so abrupt and extreme that I was in a perpetual state of whiplash. One moment it seems to set up a sly gag or a zany scenario, and the next moment someone's getting graphically tortured or killed in a way that just obliterates any potential humor. I honestly didn't know how I was supposed to react to many of the scenes. I might start to chuckle at Matt Smith's ridiculous dialogue and delivery, but then a split second later, something shockingly gruesome would happen, and I'd feel kind of sick for even thinking about laughing. Now, maybe that's what Aronofsky and Huston intended. If it is, I don't know, that just seems really dumb. I mean, I go to movies to be entertained and to escape, not to have my emotions ebb and flow in this weird psychosis that leaves me feeling like I want to dig a hole and bury myself. The film's mood is all over the place, and mostly it just stays in an ugly, uncomfortable middle ground. To Huston's credit, the original novel was reportedly very violent too. But on the page, that kind of ultraviolet black comedy may be easier to swallow than seeing it on the screen. Now, don't get me wrong, I do understand that mixing genres is a thing. I'm not saying a film can't blend comedy and drama or veer from humorous to horrific. Genre bending is great when it's done well. However, pulling off a dark comedy of this nature takes an incredible amount of skill and tonal precision. It's extremely rare to find the exact balance where the audience knows when to laugh and when to gasp. Honestly, the only filmmakers I've seen really nail that ultra-dark comedic thriller vibe are Martin McDonagh and his brother Michael McDonagh. I mean, watch In Bruges, 7 Psychopaths, The Guard, and you'll notice they guide the audience expertly. You're never confused about whether a scene was meant to be funny or tragic. You might experience both emotions in succession, but it feels intentional and well crafted. You might say I'm asking for hand-holding, but that's not it. I just appreciate when a film sets up a clear emotional through line even as it juggles light and dark elements. In Caught Stealing, Huston and Aronofsky simply do not achieve that balance. They swing for both extremes and end up with a jarring mishmash. The film's few attempts at humor are quickly and thoroughly snuffed out by the next wave of appalling violence or bleak nihilism. By the time it was over, I was left feeling depressed and feeling that I had genuinely wasted my time. And yes, I regretted purchasing my ticket. In fairness, leaving the audience feeling pummeled and uneasy is par for the course with an Aronofsky film. Trouble is, when everything was said and done, I didn't care about any resolution. I was more concerned about the main character's psyche for the foreseeable future. Darren Aronofsky's films are usually built around a strong thematic core. In fact, it's been said that almost all of Aronofsky's protagonists share a single-minded obsession that both propels and poisons them. His narratives often show an individual driven to self-destruction by an all-consuming fixation or ambition. The very thing that defines them also destroys them. You can see this pattern play out clearly in many of his films. In Black Swan, Nina's obsessive pursuit of artistic perfection slowly warps her mind and body, blurring the line between her real self and her role until it ends in tragedy. In Aronofsky's debut film, Pi, the mathematician Max becomes fixated on finding a universal number that will decode all existence. That intellectual obsession propels him into madness and paranoia, illustrating how the search for absolute truth can utterly consume a person. The Wrestler gives us Randy the Ram Robinson, a man so addicted to the glory of his past fame that he literally wrecks his body and personal life in a doomed bid to recapture it. Hell, even Requiem for a Dream, though it is an ensemble, shows how various obsessions, whether drugs, television stardom, or an idealized body image, lead each character to their own form of oblivion. Aronofsky's best works turn these obsessions into profound tragedy or twisted enlightenment. There's usually a cohesive message about the human condition in there, however dark it may be, but I just don't see any of this in Caught Stealing. Hank Thompson is not propelled by any grand obsession or ambition. If anything, he's defined by avoidance. He's trying to hide from his past trauma, not chase it or overcome it. And I get it, avoidance can be seen as a type of obsession. Hank does have a drinking problem that he uses to cope near the beginning of the movie. Here's the problem. Without giving anything away, Butler's character is haunted by old demons, like we had mentioned earlier. We're told several times that he's running from his past, but those demons have virtually nothing to do with what ropes him into the main story. The central plot, Hank getting entangled with mobsters because of a cat-sitting favor, is entirely external. It's pure happenstance and bad luck, not the result of Hank's inner flaw or fixative drive. The two ideas are completely unrelated, and that disconnect leaves the movie feeling thematically hollow. And whatever resolution does occur for Hank has nothing to do with the story proper. It comes out of left field. If there was an attempt at the usual obsession equals downfall theme, it didn't land at all. Hank's personal backstory could be lifted out of the movie, and it wouldn't change the main events one bit, which is a huge missed opportunity in my opinion. Now, Darren Aronofsky is unquestionably an expert filmmaker in terms of craft and his niche. His expertise normally shines in those psychological, thought-provoking pieces he's known for. Caught Stealing is not that kind of film. This was Aronofsky trying something more pulpy and supposedly fun, and for me, it turned out to be a misfire. Sure, it's competently made on a technical level, but it comes off like a shallow McDonough knockoff rather than a compelling Aronofsky flick. Ultimately, I give this film a thumbs down. So, have you seen Caught Stealing? If so, let me know what you thought in the comments. Seriously, if you think I'm way off base here, if you loved it and think I'm crazy or just didn't get it, by all means, sound off below. I'd honestly love to hear another perspective on this movie because, for me, it was a big disappointment. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this review or found it helpful, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe for more content. And tap the notification bell on your way out so you don't miss the next video. Alright guys, have a good day. I'm out.
Booga booga.